She walked onto the court in Osaka, carrying the immense weight of an entire nation on her young shoulders. She was the world number 54, a rising star, the undisputed future of Filipino tennis. But what happened on that court wasn't just unexpected. It was a brutal, shocking, and almost complete annihilation. 87 minutes. That's all it took for Alex Eala's Japan Open dreams to crumble into dust against an 18-year-old qualifier whom nobody had even heard of before this tournament. The final score, 6-1, 6-2. It was a straight sets demolition that left fans in the stadium speechless and tennis experts around the world scrambling for answers. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not to her, not like this. But the cold, hard numbers of the match tell a story that is far more shocking and far more concerning than the lopsided scoreline suggests. And what comes next, in the wake of this public collapse, could either define her career or break it completely. The date was October 14th, 2025. The city, Osaka, Japan. The WTA 250 Japan Open was buzzing with a nervous electric energy. Alex Eala, at just 20 years old, had already made history as one of the most electrifying and promising young players to emerge from Southeast Asia in a generation. She had won the prestigious US Open Girls Singles title in 2022, a victory that announced her arrival on the world stage with a thunderclap. She had smashed through barriers, clawing her way into the top 60 of the fiercely competitive WTA rankings, a feat that takes many players years to accomplish. In doing so, she had become a national hero, a powerful symbol of hope for millions back home in the Philippines, a country not known for producing world-class tennis talent. This tournament, the Japan Open, was supposed to be another triumphant chapter in her meteoric rise. Another chance to prove that she truly belonged among the world's elite. Her first-round opponent was Teresa Valentova, a relatively unknown Czech teenager ranked 78th in the world. A player who had had to scrape and fight her way through the qualifiers just to earn a spot in the main draw. On paper, this was Eala's match to lose. The betting odds favored her heavily. The fans and the pundits expected her to cruise through to the next round with ease. But tennis has a cruel and unforgiving way of destroying expectations. And from the very moment the first ball was struck, everyone watching knew that something was terribly, deeply wrong. The first game of the match went to Valentova, then the second and then the third. Eala, a player known for her aggressive and confident style, couldn't get anything going. Her normally precise and powerful serves were landing short or wide. Her usually sharp returns lacked their signature bite. Valentova, meanwhile, was playing the absolute match of her young life. She was aggressive, she was fearless, and she was executing her game plan with a chilling and flawless precision. Before Eala and her team could even process what was happening, she was down 4-0, a 4-love deficit in the first set. The crowd at the Utsubo Tennis Center sat in a stunned, almost disbelieving silence. This was not the Alex Eala they had come to watch. The explosive player who had thrilled audiences around the world with her incredible speed and her creative shot-making seemed completely absent, replaced by a hesitant and error-prone shadow of her former self. She finally managed to get on the board, winning her first and only game of the set, but it was far too little, far too late. Valentova, with an unnerving confidence, closed out the set 6-1 in just 40 minutes. The camera zoomed in on the Filipino star as she walked to her chair, her face a mask of confusion. She looked lost, unable to find any answers. And the nightmare, unfortunately, was only just beginning. Let's break down just how bad this performance really was, because the statistics from the match are absolutely and completely devastating. Eala, throughout the entire 87-minute match, managed to create 6 breakpoint opportunities for herself, 6 crucial chances to swing the momentum back in her direction. She converted exactly one of them. That's a dismal 17% conversion rate. Valentova, on the other hand, was ruthlessly efficient. She broke Eala's serve an incredible 6 times from just 10 opportunities, a staggering 60% success rate. That single statistic tells the entire story of the match. The difference between a player who is in complete control and a player who is drowning on the court. But it gets even worse. Eala committed 4 double faults, essentially handing free points to her opponent at the worst possible times. Her second serve, which should be a reliable weapon for a player at this level, became a massive liability. She won only 28% of the points played on her second serve. 28%. That's not professional top 60 tennis. That is the statistic of pure, unadulterated panic. When your serve, the most fundamental and controllable part of your game, completely abandons you, everything else inevitably falls apart. And that's exactly what happened to Alex Eala in Osaka. The second set started with a glimmer of hope. Maybe she could regroup. Maybe she could find her rhythm and fight her way back into the match. But those hopes were crushed almost immediately. Valentova, smelling blood in the water, raced out to another early and commanding lead, going up 3-0 before Eala could win a single game. The Filipino star fought to stay in it, clawing back a game here and there, her pride and her champion spirit refusing to let her go down without a fight. But Valentova was simply relentless. Every single time Eala tried to shift the momentum, every time she hit a great shot that might have started a comeback, the Czech teenager had an immediate and devastating answer. A blistering forehand down the line, a perfectly placed serve out wide, a defensive shot that somehow, miraculously became an offensive weapon. Point by point, game by game, Valentova systematically and completely dismantled one of the top 60 players in the entire world. The final game of the match was almost merciful in its quickness. Valentova served it out with a confidence that belied her age and her ranking, sealing the 6-2 second set and completing one of the most dominant and surprising performances of the entire tournament. 87 minutes, 2 lopsided sets, a statement victory for the young qualifier, and an absolute, unmitigated nightmare for Eala. The final scoreline of 6-1, 6-2 didn't just end her tournament. It raised serious and uncomfortable questions about where her game and her confidence are right now. After the match, a visibly disappointed Eala faced the media with the kind of maturity and grace that defines true professionals. There were no excuses, no complaints about bad luck or having an off day, just a raw and honest reflection on her own performance. It was a tough loss for me, but at the same time, you have those kinds of matches, she told reporters at Olympics.com. I think she played really well. And today wasn't my day in terms of finding solutions. That last part is absolutely crucial. Finding solutions. Tennis, at the highest and most competitive level, is as much a mental game as it is a physical one. When things aren't working, when your opponent has figured you out, you have to adapt. You have to problem solve in real time, under immense pressure, adjusting your strategy on the fly. In Osaka, Eala admitted that she simply couldn't do that. She couldn't find the key to unlock Valentova's aggressive game. She couldn't figure out how to stop the bleeding. And that honest and vulnerable admission reveals something much deeper and more concerning than just one bad match. It suggests a player who is currently struggling with her confidence, a player who is second-guessing herself in the crucial match-defining moments. When you're winning and your confidence is high, the solutions come naturally. When you're losing, everything feels impossible. But to understand the collapse, we must first understand the storm she walked into. Teresa Valentova wasn't just a lucky qualifier having a good day. She's a product of the legendary Czech tennis factory, a system that consistently produces fearless, technically sound, and mentally tough giant killers. Valentova walked onto that court playing with house money. No pressure, no expectations, and nothing to lose. For a lower-ranked player, a match against a seeded star like Eala isn't a challenge. It's an opportunity to make a name for themselves on a global stage. She played with a freedom and an aggression that you can only have when you are the hunter, not the hunted. This is the cruel paradox of being a rising star like Eala. The moment you get a number next to your name and a seed in a tournament, you are no longer the underdog. You become the target. Every qualifier, every lower-ranked player in the draw circles your name. You are their shot at a breakthrough. They come at you with everything they have, playing the match of their lives, while you are expected to simply win. The pressure shifts entirely. Eala is now learning the hard lesson that it's one thing to climb the mountain, but it's another thing entirely to stay on top of it, with everyone below trying to pull you down. The fallout from the loss was immediate and brutal. On commentary, the initial shock gave way to hushed, analytical tones, with experts questioning her preparation and her mental fortitude. On social media, the reaction was, as always, less forgiving. Fans, who had just weeks before been hailing her as the next big thing, were now posting panicked and critical messages, with hashtags questioning her form and her future. And in the middle of this digital storm stood Eala herself, whose own post-match words about finding solutions were more revealing than she might have intended. The world was now publicly asking, "What's wrong with Eala?" And her own comments suggested that she was desperately asking herself the very same question. This wasn't an isolated incident, and that's what makes this loss so genuinely concerning for her fans and her team. The Japan Open collapse marked Eala's second consecutive first-round exit from a tournament. Just 10 days earlier, on October 4th, she had crashed out of the Wuhan Open qualifiers in a tough 3-set loss to Japan's Moyuka Uchijima. 2 tournaments, 2 first-round exits, 2 early and disappointing flights home. But the troubling pattern goes even deeper than that. Eala had not won a single match in her last 3 tournaments before even stepping onto the court in Osaka. 3 straight events where she couldn't gain any traction, any momentum. For a player ranked as high as 54th in the world, that is not just a rough patch. That is a genuine crisis of confidence. Confidence in tennis is everything. It's the invisible force that guides your shots, the difference between playing free and playing scared. It's what separates the champions from the players who never quite reach their full potential. And right now, Eala's confidence, the very foundation of her game, looks shattered. Every unexpected loss adds more weight. Every early exit plants more doubt. And before you know it, you can get stuck in a vicious cycle where you start to expect to lose before the match even begins. That is the dangerous and precarious zone that Eala is in right now. But here's the thing about true champions. They don't stay down for long. They learn. They adapt. And they come back stronger, hungrier, and more determined than before. At just 20 years old, Eala has time on her side. She has the undeniable talent. She has the proven work ethic. She has the dedicated support system. What she needs now is a breakthrough. One single match where everything clicks. One tournament run where she can silence the doubts, both external and internal, and remember why she fell in love with this brutal and beautiful sport in the first place. And those opportunities are coming fast. The Guangzhou Open, which runs from October 20th to the 26th, gives her less than a week to completely reset, both mentally and physically. She's seeded 5th in that tournament, which means the expectations will be high, a double-edged sword. Following that, she'll head to Hong Kong for the Hong Kong Tennis Open. 2 immediate chances to turn this narrative around. 2 tournaments where she can show the world that the collapse in Osaka was just a bad day at the office, not the start of a serious decline. The technical adjustments are obvious. That second serve needs serious work. Her breakpoint conversion rate has to improve. The double faults must be eliminated. Her coaching team will be grinding through hours of video, analyzing every mistake, and working on solutions. But the real battle for Eala isn't technical, it's mental. She needs to rediscover the fearless, joyful player who won a Grand Slam junior title, the fierce competitor who refused to back down from anyone, the celebrated athlete who made history for her country. That player is still in there. She just needs to be unlocked. Sometimes a tough loss is exactly what an athlete needs to refocus, to strip away the distractions and get back to basics. To remember why they started this journey in the first place. Eala has faced adversity before. She's overcome obstacles that would have crushed lesser players. This is just another test, another chapter in a career that's far from finished.